gentlemen, a very warm welcome to each and every one of you present in this hall to the 22nd edition of the Smart Office Summit. My name is Rashmi Naika. I am the editor of the Commercial Design magazine. Now, I know each of you all have got various iterations of calls, mails, messages from our teams explaining what this particular conference is all about. Now, as the title mentions, the conference was all about smart offices. It was about integrating tech in the workspace scenario, in the workspace domain. But today, at this 22nd edition, we have evolved so much more than integrating tech. It's not just the tech, it's also about sustainability, it's about cost, budgets, timelines, ROIs, how facilities managers are involved in it, what are the barriers we face in different aspects of workplace design and infrastructure operations, all of this coming together on this one platform. And we have this immensely talented, experienced, and the most insightful panel of speakers here today from different domains of the workplace design. Like I speak to tell my panels, what we kind of do is bring together different stakeholders involved in different stages of your building's life cycle. So starting from your developers, your architects, your project managers, your facility managers, all of them together on this platform for a cross-pollination of thoughts and ideas. Now, evenings like this and platforms such as this is not possible without the industry support that we get. Here we have our partners, Dormakaba, Welspun Flooring, Forbo, Ótica, Core Green, Blue Pebble, Crisp, all of them coming together to give us the kind of knowledge and the foundation to bring a platform like this together. So thank you so much for that. And just to give you a quick insight into the portfolio of one of such partners, we have with us Ms. Shruti Dalvi from Dormakaba, who is here to present a quick preview into what the company is all about and the solutions they have for the workplace segment. Shruti, over to you. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, everyone, and it's good to see such a wonderful audience in front of me. I'm Shruti Dalvi. I'm a consultant for the Integrated Access Solutions by Dormakaba. So Dormakaba actually has got a mammoth of history, spread across close to 160 years of experiences, spread across 130 countries, with a great backing of patented solutions, more than 1,800 numbers, right? Our presence in India, it's all about the Indian subcontinent, almost everywhere across the Indian subcontinent, and we're headquartered in Chennai. So at Chennai, we have the India's very first NABL accredited, as well as government-approved hardware testing laboratory as well. The Market India for Dormakaba has got an integrated team also. So right from the marketing communication, the business development, the specifications AST team, which I am part of, the product management, the project management, and of course, not to forget, the most important is after-sale services. All these teams are backed up with certified professionals as well. So buildings today are changing, and so is the access to these buildings also, right? So right from singling out to integrated is what the access is moving forward to. So talking about the building peripherals, the building entrances, the internal access requirements, also the IoT of things. So all these solution requirements are changing. So Dormakaba offers seamless integration with whatever solutions we are presented with, and we are merging the access and the flow, and that is how we are serving access as a service to the industry. All that at the touch of a button onto your smartphone itself. So how do we do it? So right from the building entrances, where you have your vehicles or your pedestrian entrances, we have boom barrier as a solution. We have full height turnstiles as a solution with complete secured integration. Moving forward to the building envelopes, you have an efficient, energy efficient, a customizable, and an automatic solution with multiple ways of entrances. Not just that, also with revolving doors, you can have complete glass top revolving doors, also larger size revolving doors with a sliding option into it, secured revolving doors with vision sensors, as well as personal interlocks. Moving towards the lobby entrances, we do have swing barriers as a solutions, but it's the swing barriers not just keep your places secure, but also you can customize it and integrate it with the lobby interiors as well, with an extensive level of customization that we offer. There is a revolutionary solution that we have recently launched in the industry. Let us have a look at this quick AV.
The Argus V60 offers the smallest footprint of any optical turnstile in the market today. Argus V60 offers a footprint less than 10 inches, providing the ability to fit into the tightest of spaces, integrating into your access control system and ensuring tailgate detection. Pairing the more detailed sensor information captured by the V60 with SenseLib is what allows the V60 to effectively differentiate between a true tailgating attempt, a person carrying a large bag, or two people walking closely together.
So yes, you have a similar or rather better security parameters with a smaller footprint. So that is what is Argus V60 all about. Access to a building, it's not just the access control solutions, but it has to be an integrated access. So apart from the access control solutions, there are many other parameters onto the door that play an important role. The locks, the hinges, the door closers, the security devices, the time attendance, all of these solutions, including the physical locking solutions with patented technology. So this is all under one umbrella of Dormakaba. We can offer it to you. Access control solutions further offered by Dormakaba has got some highly secured and highly robust reader solutions. You can have highly secured wireless and wired solutions also. All these things is backed up with the extensive software solutions available with us. So right from a single door to a multi-location and multiple doors can be controlled with Dormakaba solution services. Also, as we mentioned earlier, the door closers, the other hardware and allied hardwares play also an important role into the door. So yes, all these kind of solutions can be offered by Dormakaba, but everything backed up with right specifications and certifications. I'll just play a small AV for you.
Kaba presents One Campus, One Key. Tomorrow's technology today with Dormakaba's master key system, designed to make access easier and more secure at the same time. The benefits of One Campus, One Key.
I believe any project that we are designing today, because the building spaces are becoming extensive, we talk about master keying solutions. But do we really talk about how secure it is? Or what if your key is copied or it is stolen, right? So Dormakaba offers patented technology-driven keying solutions. So you have access or you have security over the cylinder itself. If you really want to know detailed about it, please do visit our stall here. So yes, the modern buildings are also designed taking into consideration the accessibility norms. So the RPWD Act and NBC codes state certain accessibility parameters for the design being built. So Dormakaba has got an integrated solution in that area as well. Moving further, to make your offices flexible, we offer demountable partitions, not only providing you acoustics, but also providing you EPD certifications and stability to your system. That's about the glass partitions. We also have operable walls for the operable spaces. So we'll see a couple of AVs here demonstrating that. So that's a fully automatic horizontal sliding folding partition. So here, on a touch of a button, your wall opens up. You have no latching locking to be performed. The second solution that is there is a semi-automatic sliding folding partition, where it's again a hassle-free movement of the wall, which has got a manual involvement in the moving of the panels, but the latching locking happens automatically. You can also provide a door panel inside the sliding folding partition. Right? I skipped to the... Okay, so this one another solution which is much more interesting in the same space is coming up. And without talking about it, I'll just present you the AV to it. Fascinating, isn't it? Imagine you're saving up your floor space in a space like Mumbai with a very good looking and a premium solution. What's even more fascinating is with all these solutions that I have spoken about till now, we also support the sustainability parameters globally. So not just ensuring that your planet is safe, but also the people around the planet are safe. We also partner with a lot of other groups which stand for these parameters. With this, we also support 9 out of the 17 SDG goals. And how, would you like to know? Please, again, stop by our counter. So thank you so much. That's all for the evening. If you wish to visit our website, do scan the QR code over here. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Shruti, for actually sharing with us so many possibilities with one aspect of building design, which is security and safety solutions. Now coming on to the first panel discussion of the day, which is titled Aligning Workplace Design with Operations and Principles of Circular Economy. This is kind of a heavy panel because this doesn't speak about just one single vertical, but we have speakers with us, thought leaders with us from different roles, different experiences coming together and sharing a gamut of information on different questions and challenges that we have. To moderate this panel, we have Tanmay Khare, who is an architect himself and is a senior FM professional and contributor to the Council of Reality Infrastructure and Services, which is CRISPS, which is also our knowledge partner here on this platform. And joining him on this platform are speakers Shrish Thergaonkar, who is the senior advisor and consultant and also a mentor at EcoFirst Services, which is in Tata Enterprise. Joining them is Mr. Sameer Kumar Jha, who is the General Manager for Security and Fire Safety at Bharat Diamond House. And also joining them on this panel is Khushru Bamji, who is the Senior Vice President for Security Technology and Projects at BNB Security and Automation Solutions. And finally joining them is Ashish Patil, who is the Vice President and Corporate Real Estate Management head for Kotak Bank. With this, I'm going to request each of my speakers and my moderator to please come on stage. And with this, I'm going to hand it over to Tanmay.
Thank you, Rashmi.
Thanks.
First of all, good evening, everyone. As Rashmi rightly said, I would request the people standing behind to please join us on the table. You can join the panel during the Q&A session or the Q&A round that we would be having. Without wasting any further time, let me come back to the core discussion of the panel. Workspace and its strategies towards circular economy. So workplace we have been discussing, this is the 21st edition, right? Yeah, 22nd. So we've been discussing about smart workplaces all the way around, but this new word on circular economy, it has added more value, it has made us more responsible. So, coming back to the subject line, Shirish, I would start with you, asking you a very precise question on how do workplaces be designed to promote this circular economy concept?
Yeah, good evening, Tanmay, and thank you, everyone, and good evening to all. It's a very, I would say, a fluid question.
Yeah.
So, circular economy in building design or in workplace design is very relative. In my opinion, what we experience every day in our Indian culture, first of all, what is circular economy? Is to reuse, rebuild, or it can be reusable. In our Indian context, we experience this every day since our birth. I'll give a small example, personal example. We have a 100-year-old house. And how do we modify it for the current scenario? We don't break away. We don't break those expensive teak wood doors, windows, furniture. But we repolish it, remodify it, and modify to the contemporary style. And it's a fact that I have done those and utilize that wood, which is now very premium, because we have limitations of tree cutting, all those things. So for me, it's imbibed in our Indian culture, in our Indian ethos, or our respective families. new word is coined, circular economy, but I would say this is since ages. At the same time, there are pros and cons as well. The first and foremost for me, Tanmay, is the attitude of people. We need to be conscious, develop the attitude towards this concept, which is very nascent at this stage. We don't have regulations. We don't have firm regulations, I would always say that. I visited abroad many times. Recently, I was in Japan. What difference I could see is the attitude of citizens there. Whether they implement circular economy or no, but they follow their traditions, which is a part of circular economy in design. Not only building design, but campuses, their own lifestyle also. I may sound philosophical, but it's relevant to this subject.
Yeah.
You know? Attitude.
Attitude. So it will basically start, it should start from you first.
Yes.
Yeah.
All parameters come next. If you don't have that attitude, you will always challenge yourself or people. यार ये तो बहुत costly है. It has got a very capex cost. How can my client or myself can afford it? We have tight budget lines, you know. Get yourself attitude towards that, develop that, and then implement.
So this change is very important. I'll come to
Absolutely.
you, Samir, on this. You've been handling campuses right through a lot of clients. They keep coming, you know, they keep adding. How about your experience on this?
Thank you, Tanmay, and for this 22nd Smart Office to calling us and giving on a first opening batsman's like to make us. And thank you, Tanmay, to tell ki what is circular. And thank you, Shri sir, for adding old wine in a new bottle.
New bottle. Super. Right.
Old is always gold.
Old is always gold, and nothing is changing. We, from the middle class, tier 2, tier 3 cities, kids, we know how much we have reused it. पिताजी के कपड़े, बड़ा भाई, छोटा भाई, and last में it has become पोछा.
Pocha.
So that much we understand कि how much we are reusing. Same way में at Bharat Diamond Bose, the building has been constructed with that thought process, sir, in way back in 90s. When B.V. Doshi, Balkrishna Doshi Sahab, the architect who have designed this complex, sir, he have considered everything 25, 30 years ahead. As an example, in 90s, we have STP. Today, we have just changed with GE membrane, which is a potable water. Being the Jain property, we cannot say that, but it still, if that sort of crisis come, we can use that water for portability. Secondly, in 90s when Mumbai doesn't have the vehicles and anything, sir, कितने लोगों के पास में car? At that time, while constructing it, we have made 2,500 car parks, which is now in 2025 is falling short of 500 car parks.
Right.
So even though they are thinking so futuristically, things are getting changed. And whatever the way he has designed, from the, again, the old wine concept, reuse, reconstruct, and building has been designed to make for 25,000 people. And everyday footfall at Bharat Diamond is 45,000. So with that, sir, still old is gold. People with the old thought processes and all has kept everything into the same line, sir.
That goal will never change. So with this thought, I'll come back to you, Ashish. You've been into number of branches, I would say. Yeah. So the more number of people you cater to, what kind of psychological behavior you think can be related, or what kind of strategies can be implemented when it comes on the very upcoming trend, which is, you know, the modular furniture? Because we at times are hesitant on using modular furniture for its quality, for its limitation in terms of delivery. How do you address, and what are your strategies on this?
Yeah. Thank you, Tanmay. So first of all, when we say circular economy, okay, so I think circular economy, sir has explained it very well. Okay, let's first understand that, and I'll come to that point. Okay, what is the other economy? It's like linear economy, where you take it, make it, and scrap it. Okay, so, and circular economy, where reduce, recycle, and reuse it. So in circular economy, like you say, modular and all, okay, it's all depend on, design. I would say, if I can make it in a parameters, design, like modular and all. In case of workplace, when we construct one new office, in within a 6 month or down 1 year down the line, there is some changes is required. Okay, some new cabin has to constructed, some promotion has happened, so open office has to change to a cabin and all. So modularity is very important. Not only the workstation, in fact, I would say architect has to think of how the partition, just like we saw that Dorma, product and all. So if required, we can open it. If we required, we can convert it to the cabin and all. So by that, we have to see the impact on environment also. So circular economy with the impact of environment, this has to be clubbed together. So I think that has to be there. And we are addressing this considering the design more on the modular way. And yeah, some of the material also which we have to consider.
So Shirish, I'll pick one point out of this. He said it also involves some kind of transportation, some kind of logistics based out of this. My next probable question would be, how are we trying to address and align these policies? Because it's not a new game for us. We have been doing this for years on making sure that the transportation cost is taken care of. The overall RFP or RFQ that we submit is not always L1 is what I personally believe. It should have a very vocal on exploring the L2 and L3 also if they are contributing more. What do you feel could definitely be some aligned strategies in terms of this round 3 kind of situation wherein your transportation and related activities are also concerned?
It's a good question, Every project, Tanmay, must be comprehensively planned.
Yeah.
With respect to not only design or this, but logistics also. A lot of materials come and go, garbage come and go, building wastes come and go, How we approach this, I would not call it a problem, but an issue, is to clearly define what is the quantum. Approach a logistic department if one has in their own organization, or otherwise hire them, pre-plan it. Your lead, Griha, all these organizations demand now for various grades of certification. Right. So what do? We plan. Secondly, as he rightly put, the modularity part.
See,
modularity, yes. He rightly put, we in our architecture schools, way back, I graduated in 1988. So we were taught modular design. It's very simple. It's a multiple of a certain number. So when I design this partition, I have a module of say 2.5 feet wide and 5 meter high. My next extension would be in that module only. That helps in transportation.
Right.
That helps in production at the production house.
So the pre-planning is also addressed, the execution is also addressed, right? Rightly said.
In our respective houses, our mother, our grandmother, they do modular design, to be very honest. How? A granary store or a shakkar ka dibba, gehu ka dibba, atta, is all modular.
Right.
Because of the size, they know what is the consumption and they order it beforehand.
Right. So it helps you in the planning or the foresight or the forecasting stuff also.
All these terms, modern terms, are coined new, but they are within us. We follow that, but unfortunately we have forgotten that. I hope I have answered you.
So it also brings in a very important point. We generally have a concept of centralizing stuff, So when it comes on the logistics perspective, exploring the local partners or giving a better chance to the local partners also plays a very critical role in terms of both reduction and creating that, worth for everyone. I'll take this concept ahead with Ashish. He rightly said in architecture you have an integration. You have this fancy concept of biophilic designs. Uh, I asked you one thing, you handle branches. So here the count is more, the customer is more, the employee psychology is more. How do you think this very recent concept of biophilic, that is integration of green in the office, plays a vital role in this?
Yeah, it play a very vital and important role. Okay, so greenery, not in terms of look and feel. Okay, it will give you the freshness in that, and in some of the branches and offices, I saw some architect prefer to go with the not the natural plant and other kind of plant. Okay, which really we oppose that. And greenery is not only for look and feel. If you use biophilic and a green wall, or put a greenery something on the roof and all, so it can save you the cost also in the energy purpose. Okay, the one thing is definitely freshness when the people will come, and it will really create a good ambience. And second thing, I think it can use for to save the energy also if used in a right way.
Wow. So Samir, I'll come to you on this. For campuses, you always have a huge chunk of employees who I would say enjoy their breaks specifically. And these are the green zones or the courtyard areas or your extended cafeterias. How do you think this concept is vital in terms of what Ashish has added?
For all this, as far as my campus is concerned, while designing it way back in 90s, they have considered, Doshi Sahab has considered in such a way, it's a marvelous, from the architectural perspective, sir. The ground floor is full of greenery. The amount of area we have kept open, sir, on 20-acre land, only 20 lakh area construction has happened. 14 lakh is for the offices and 6 lakh. So greenery is totally, and the people involved is totally for this function, sir. So they are doing it. And the question in which you asked, sir, for the transportation, and how many of us have read the book, The Toyota Way? So again, the whole scenarios and whole things are coming into that direction of circular. If you read that book, even though they are talking about the Six Sigma, Black Belt and all, but the way the concept and the fundamental philosophical things it has been given, everything has to be in the nearby so that all sort of waste, sir.
Just in time.
Just in time. Just in time. So everything will be interconnected, not dependent too much, lot of logistic, lot of transfer. You are making the building over here, you are calling the things from the Assam, and then we are doing the carbon neutrality and zero. It has to be designed, jo sir ne bola, poor planning.
So this also brings up no offenses for any partners, but we prefer brands or typically chairs or furniture, modular furnitures, which come some 1,000 miles away. So, that also is a food for thought for all of us. How do we take that into consideration? Because we don't consider those things. It is not the fact that India doesn't have that quality, but it is, we are too much, inclined on having the Western pattern. Kushro, please. I'm coming to you with the same extended question, because all these parameters, when it comes on the integration of outdoor and indoor, when you have fresh morning sun, fresh air, breeze coming into your premises, people mingling around, people not having the sick building syndrome, there is a high level of concern in terms of the security of the premises or the resources, what I would say. So resources for me is the man and the machine. So what do you think a concept like a universal security design would play a role into this?
Thanks a lot. And that's a very important point, the universal security design. So it's a kind of a design philosophy. People, when they look at security, they always think security is very intrusive. Security need not be intrusive. Security needs to be more inclusive in the sense that we need to ensure that when we are trying to develop security solutions, we get the user expectations. What the large campus facilities like what you mentioned right now, there are a lot of nearby common areas. They need to be designed, and definitely the overall security design has to be done in such a way that you're going to be having thousands of visitors coming in. And when you are having so many visitors coming in, all your technology elements, they should not look very scary, intimidating. So it's very important that we work with all stakeholders right from a very infancy stage in the project, like from a technical due diligence point of view. We get feedback from our user groups about what is their expectation towards security, and design elements in such a way that we allow spaces for people to move around without creating unnecessary barriers. But at the same point of time, compromise with security would not be something which would be good in the interest of the site.
Right. So it also brings, yeah, Sam, you want to add something?
My submission, what sir has said is very true. Unless and until end user will involve himself, till the time there is no solution.
Right.
Because if it is a security department, they feel this is the consultant job, they will design the things. And when things get cooked, they start crying, yeah, we don't want that way. And then reuse, and then ye todo, wo naya banao, isko karo. So from the very first day, you have to involve either in the office space or the security or anything. Then the losses, reuse, things will be.
So even Corona was the biggest boom for, the overall FM portfolio is what I personally feel, because that time it was not the case that the boardroom never recognized us, but that event brought a very bold stand and presence for the FM people, be it security, housekeeping, admin, travel, any guys who are working as a backbone of the organization. Yeah. So my very next aligned question to both of you, Samir and Khushro, is you need the representation in the boardroom. Yeah. Because there is a two-way perspective to this. Organizations, they either work top-bottom or bottom-top. Yeah, very less bottom-top, but more top-bottom. How do you think the company's vision and the overall, mission on having a better employee, a better P&L portfolio helps in terms of implementation of this security stuff?
So in my organization, it's a top-down. We report directly to the chairman. We don't have any dotted line to call here HR or personnel or here and there or operation. We directly report to chairman. Now coming to the COVID, blessing in disguise, which showed how the backbone is working. On a very first day, Khade sahab, band.
Band is band.
So I thanks to this India Summit, who has allowed me to bring my, witnesses along with my team, जो जाके बोलेंगे सर कुछ तो बोलते हैं. Otherwise they say कि आप तो कुछ भी बोल के आ जाते हो तो हमें क्या पता. तो I bring them. So sir, जैसा बोला बंद and everything blocked. In my 45,000 people where central is operational, state get closed. Means customs inside the booths is operational, exports are stuck, which is millions of dollars.
Yes.
And band. So these boys have run the whole 24-hour by arranging all the jugaad with all the gas, cylinders, this, that, making, because to run the complex, at least we need 200, 300 people inside.
Right.
तो खाना क्या बने, खिचड़ी कहाँ बने, क्या करे. नेक्स्ट डे सबके पास अकल आ जाती है, सारे बीसीपी, रेजिलियंस सब खड़े हो जाते हैं कि ऐसे करना चाहिए. ऑन द स्पॉट व्हाट, कहाँ से आएगा.
So we are the first one to address it, right?
From the immediate basis, sir, we also don't find you from where. Yeah. Then people know each other and bringing, and night निकलने के बाद में then we have arranged everything. Then मेरे 200 बंदे property में 1.5 साल रहे. They were cooking themselves. Suddenly I got a call from my chairman. कितना खाने का लगता है? मैं कहा sir you tell. बोले don't joke, tell me. It was 60 rupees.
Yes.
Breakfast, lunch, dinner, 4-5 कप चाय. Because they were cooking themselves. जो लाना है, जो खाना है, लेके आओ, बनाओ और खाओ. So that way, if you have the ownership of the thing, you will get the recognition, which we feel कि yes, we get. Operation चलाया, engineering चलाया, everything. The security person had drove almost 15,000 kilometer bike.
Right.
In जो 14 days का जो बंद किया था, उसमें to bring the critical resources to the office. So lot of activities. Sir, please. Otherwise,
it all starts with you, as you rightly said, Shirish. Khushro, please.
So, yeah, I completely agree with what you said right now. I'll speak on behalf of my operations teams. I think security and facilities truly were the COVID warriors in our time as well. Representing the technology side, I have a few examples of how resilience and business continuity, many people keep talking about resilience and business continuity, but what we have seen in India, the situation was a stark difference from what it was in the States. And having worked with an MNC before, during COVID, unfortunately, people are very different outside of India. When it's a lockdown, it's a lockdown. No one does anything to go ahead with it. But out here in India, the situations were a lot different. 14 days the lockdown is getting over, and suddenly we are getting an email in the morning. Hey, listen, you need to mobilize your security integrator partner teams. They need to be at the site. Suddenly you come to the site and you realize your store has been broken into and you have lost some equipment. And you need to actually go back onto the drawing board so many times that's what builds resilience. You start working with partners and you start doing your supply chains more leaner. So we learned the art of being very lean in our procurement strategies. We experienced, as security technology normally is all electronic equipment. So unfortunately, things are coming from outside of India. So we learned very quickly, if you're dependent upon some country, and there is a COVID protocol over there in the factories, and lockdown is there, or some material which is being used in a particular equipment is stuck in transit, there are multiple permutations, combinations that you have to be aware of and be resilient in our approach to ensuring that the sites are up and running, because that's what is the expectation from us.
So you took a very critical point on technology. I'll come to you on this, Shirish. You add, yeah, please.
I'm sorry.
No,
I
please.
want to interject here to both of you. We as architects or we as designers, I have got very mixed customer experience due to security measures. Turnaround time to enter an office or exit the office for a large population or employees, I would humbly request you to work on getting enhanced customer experience. How to get out quickly. Somebody should do or liaise with the traffic analysis consultants for pedestrian traffic, vehicular also break up large vehicles, four-wheelers, two-wheelers, bikes. So these things add up to it's part of the project. So I want security systems also to partake into the customer experience. Like we as interior designer, we can have a paneled wall or good carpet, good illumination. Similarly, security measures should be adding up to the customer convenience and experience. And that plays a very important role. Sometimes I would not name any property per se, but it takes about 10-15 minutes to
clear the security checks.
Yeah.
So I will try to just pitch in. What we do is feedback is our biggest strength on this. So feedback taken. As you rightly said, the wait time should be not more than 2 or 5 minutes is what we intend to do. But of course, with technology, we have been able to achieve 60 to 70% of that gap, because we also had the similar complaints. We need to wait for more than 10 to 15 minutes. If you send any approvals, we don't get the mails. So how can we have a foolproof system wherein the wait time is not more than 5 minutes? Point taken. I'll come to you with the same technology perspective. Sorry, Sam, if you want to add. Kushro, please.
So, very nicely said. I think I've got that feedback from many people at times, but it also boils down to how you embrace technology. Tech and operations go hand in hand. Facilities go hand in hand. So early stage planning, if we do it, citing an example of one of my last projects, we had to develop a site for which the design started maybe 7 years ago. And the traffic analysis was 7 years back. And the situation in the city had changed rapidly. So we need to continuously evolve, do a recent traffic analysis whenever the project kicks in a construction phase, and embrace technology wholeheartedly. When you are making it barrier-free, you are actually making it faster. So yes, definitely point taken. Sometimes, like, even when you're entering multiplexes, you have people with mirrors looking down, opening, your boots and your, your front engines. And that adds to the time. So there has to be some way by which technology can be brought in at a very early stage. And as I said earlier, it requires stakeholder engagement.
Also, an eye-opener for the industry. With technology, we have n number of data coming to us, but we fail to play with it. So what we did is we had a very simple critical analysis done with very basic Power BI का system के ऊपर data ले लिया, and we came to know what are the critical times and days where there is more visitor traffic, more employee traffic, because now we are following a hybrid model. At organizations, they are back on 5 days working also. So this data analysis gave us more strength in planning. What is the number of people we need to increase for that stipulated time? It was not the case that we were not doing it, but now we could realize कि boss ये data बोल रहा है कि इसकी ज़रूरत है. So that's the perspective.
On the line, by understanding that only, sir, the Mumbai Metro, which is passing through the BKC, sir, we have taken the station inside the booths from the concourse level. We are connecting it inside the booths, so my 30,000 people who is going to use Bandra Kurla is going to use metro inside. So for that, BDB is spending almost 35 CR, in which 10 CR is the MMRDA fees, which we are paying, and 25, because there are 25,000 square feet of platform which we are pulling inside. So sir, we are doing it. Instead, we are participating with the MMRDA and government to understand but as of now, BKC more political and where we should not comment.
Intention है तो काम हो सकता है.
Intention है तो काम हो सकता है, but it has to be a partnership with the government agencies also.
I'll come to you, Shirish, on the technology perspective. Now, security perspective a bit addressed. But how do you feel that this technology has, playing a vital role in designing of workspaces which are highly focused on optimizing the resources? Because you will also agree, energy is the biggest, cost for any project. A very recent survey says corporate real estate and workplace, they emit around 35 to 40% of greenhouse gases. And the raw materials which are required, they consume almost 30% to 40% of energy. So with the experience that you come, what are the various technological enhancements you feel which can help us in this?
Again, it's not a specific question what you have asked. It's extremely relative, and we don't have regulations again.
Yeah.
So
that's actually I would say a green area for all of us, because even circular economy is a big questioner for the Indian industry.
Yes. So technology-wise, yes, we have large glass facade buildings nowadays. In India, we have ample sunlight, or rather, more than enough sunlight coming into an enclosed space. Glass facades are basically developed for Western or the European countries or Western, where they want sunlight to come in. Normally, it's overcast.
Right.
We are blindly following, sorry to say, apologies for my...
No, Shirish, this is the 22nd time I have been repeating the same dialogue. Rashmi can, she always says, "Aap wo baat karte wo sahi hai." We always follow the West blindly.
So, to control that heat load, to optimize the air conditioning tonnage, why are we not focusing on the technology to reduce that? Then people may say we have low VOC glass, this, that, all the thing. But what about the heat load?
Right.
People will put vertical blinds or, blinds to... That's not the solution. Wherein in other countries, although the cost of those panels are extremely high at this stage, maybe once in demand, we might have lesser pricing cost to that.
Purpose, if you can say who is putting his foot down, MEP consultants, designers, or the owners, or the users?
Unfortunately, nobody is putting their foot down or giving thought to it. let me be very frank. We have to think about technology. To answer your question, we have to modify technology, we have to modify our thoughts and approach.
Build to suit.
Absolutely, there is no go.
Build to suit.
Then regarding illumination, nowadays we are getting those LED lamps. But again, as you said earlier, fashion of importing for light fixtures. Again, we have restrictions of BIS certification, limitations to it. We can't import unless it is certified by BIS. Certification takes a lot of time. There's a huge queue to that. So we Indian people, responsible people here, should encourage local manufacturers or Indian manufacturers to produce that quality of product, aesthetically also and technically also. So number 3, our sponsor Dorma, I should not name, but they are graduating to that attitude and level, you know, touchless, motion sensors, all those things are coming. But it has to have fast pace. Also at the same time, economy has to be thought of. New technologies are available. You can import from Germany, you can import from America or wherever, Japan, China, all those things. But at what cost?
Cost. And also, is it required for me? That's a very basic question we fail to ask.
Optimization. Luxury, optimization, and necessity. The golden words in architecture are form should follow function.
Yes,
Similarly,
form follows function.
the product should follow the function for what it is required for.
Right, right.
This light is...
That's not required. Even, you know, the basic lumens, what is the requirement? Optimum. I would correct myself. The optimum requirement, it is lack of knowledge first and lack of intention, because we want places to be, you know, jazzy, we want places to be more classy, and that's where you end up, you know, doing all such damages to the environment is what I would say. Ashish, I'll come to you. You've been, you know, handling major premises again. Have you been, you know, inclined towards the use of technology when it comes on the building management systems or any other hyperloops or any interloops that you feel?
Yeah. So one thing which Sarah says ki who is putting you know, their foot down for the designing and all. Okay. So I think everybody loves that glass facade and all. Nobody wants the wall and the front side. Okay. I think everybody is. So what we have to do ki already heat is already come inside and heat load has increased. So the only thing is what consultants are thinking and what our you know, vision is that ki how to minimize that, and how we can optimize the, you know, based on our requirement. So yeah, technology is very important, and we are using it, okay, to cut down the AC load. We are using all the VAVs so that it can cut down on the time, or VFDs to ramp up the frequency down so that energy saving can be done. Lightings are with the sensor and all, so that if somebody is not there, it can cut off. And if it is not, somebody not there in the cabin, and also cut off the AC also. Okay, so there are so many things like recycling of the water, you know, water treatment plant.
So in your building management systems, you capture your air conditioning, your energy consumption, your water wastage, your water usage. So
correct.
Partially you end up addressing almost 30% to 40% of the issues where it comes on recycle, basic use, and then reuse.
Correct.
Yeah, because if you curtail the basic use, there is not a very big question on, you know, recycling that. Yep. In the interest of time, on that note, I would, with your due permission, panelists, I would open this forum to the audience. Any questions? Yeah.
Tanmay, I will just add.
Yes, please.
Just my thoughts. You said technology in building. I would say, for a circular economy, technology is applicable even for manufacturing.
Yes.
One good example in India, in Mumbai, manufacturers have developed beautiful flooring material out of waste of, say, marble cutting or terracotta, that is burnt bricks, dust. Of course, they have processed it chemically, they have treated it, they have tested, compressed, but with a new technology. Similarly, in one of my projects, we have cladded natural stone at the height, with the height of from floor to ceiling at 9.5 to 10 meters. Of course, dry cladding, but we developed that particular agency to veneer a stone. Normally, we get 19 mm, 25 mm, 20 mm thick stone, which is very, very costly to clad at that height, because you require a lot of, and of course, availability again. So out of that, we veneered it, backed up with a cheaper material, again natural, reuse, recyclable, cladded it on a framework. So what did we do? We developed that technology.
So you asked for it, yeah? It was not in the market, you demanded. So that gives a very open fledge on the innovation perspective of it.
Exactly.
Great,
So
great.
these things need to have that attitude again.
Yes,
See,
it's
it all
all about-
boils down to attitude and approach.
Right. So there was a beautiful saying, in one of our conferences. Your attitude will define your altitude. Yeah. So with that note, any questions from the audience?
Hi, I'm Manoj Tiwari from Blue Pebble, and it was a wonderful discussion. I loved one thing, about the technology. Everybody talks, but the problem comes when it is on the BOQ. Nobody wants to spend money.
Yeah.
Technology costs. So I would actually request people like Ashish and all, architect, you have to say that it's not only the cost, the initial. In the long run, we recover the cost. Plus, technology currently is moving, hands in hand with the sustainability also.
Right.
So
agree.
we have to work, and it's you guys here from this platform. The why should be that don't only look at the cost, look at the overall things here.
See,
Thank you.
I'll answer this. As Shirish rightly said in the very opening statement, it will all start with you. So when you are in a position to convince yourself that this will reduce my operation cost, it might increase my capex as of now, but this is the ROI, and then I go and present it to the boardroom. I don't think so any board will, reject. Specifically, correct me if I'm wrong, after the corona pandemic that we have. Because technology has played a tremendous, kind of catalyst for the entire industry. And definitely point taken, we and such platforms definitely keep promoting that it is technology, but it is also not a fear of technology, because many people think AI will kill jobs. AI will not kill jobs, it will challenge you back to improve yourself. Yeah, so point
Thanks a lot.
taken.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
I'll give you a counter question to answer to your question.
Yeah, thanks.
What is your approach to develop a technology for your product which is cost effective?
See, I would say.
How can you reduce the cost of your product?
Yeah, see what happens, I have to look from both the sides. From my cost as well as from my customer's end. I have to see that I give him a product which might initially be a bit expensive, but in the long run, like, rightly you said about the glass facade, everybody loves it, but it is more of a European technology. In the old times, we have that what do you call that, jo windows mein lagte the jharokas. They were very effective. That's great thing. And now again, it has come back with the terracotta thing and all that. So we would also like to push it. It's not that, it's always the cost. But underlying principle is this, that cost should also be taken and, we should go for it. Simple as that.
See,
You answered your question
right. So
by my question. So we think about this. I'm not getting his name, sorry.
Manoj Tiwari.
Manoj. We are for that. We are doing a lot of work with not yours, but your technology per se. But at the same time, we challenge people like you. How can we optimize? Optimization is the word, Just blankly, I want this, I want that, I want anamorphic displays, I want this display. How can I justify?
Hi, my name is Samir Bansali from Asan Building System. Circular economy. I think so India is the first country to introduce green, sustainable, negative carbon footprint, circular economy with 2 hours fire rated, acoustic and insulated, no toxic fume. And sir, in your project only, we are using in Gallery Lafayette with Rakesh Bhatia. So,
What's your question?
no, my question is that it's already there. Circular economy is very important. We already have it in India. India is the first country came out with a sustainable green product, and it's patented, and India has it.
Agree with your point.
Okay, we'll take one last question. The lady in front has one.
Hi, I'm Nitika Desai. I'm an architect and town planner. So my question is that in sustainable architecture and green initiative, we usually use many parameters at the designing stage, like the passive design strategies and the climatic responsive design. But my question is that because in the corporate world, where the premises are very like we have to move. Many of the times we have to move in the building which is already prepared, and we have no other things that we have to use the R parameters or design parameters over there. So how can we go inside in that kind of building, and how we can reduce our optimization of the resources, and how we can do that? Because we haven't used the passive design strategies over there, we haven't used the climatic responsive design over there in the initial stage, and we have to just go over there because we have no other availability nearby area, or maybe because of the leasing is not available over there. So how we can do that?
See, frankly, no offenses, the typical Indian CRE industry is driven by builders and promoters. Yeah. So whatsoever kind of intention you have as an architect, or as an interior designer, or as a environmentalist, or a horticulturist, end of the day, you end up in a premises which you logically feel, yaar, isme to bahut problem hai. And then you try to address those problems.
Exactly.
So that attitude needs to be addressed, because it is both ways. It's pro and con. In a city like Mumbai, your per square feet is a penny for you. So you can't waste a single square feet. But you go to tier 3, 4 cities, you will find better places, better spaces. And very recent survey says, cities like Nagpur, Nasik, Indore, they are getting more inquiries in terms of workspace. Campuses also. So the reason behind this is we need to speak up, because as architects, we are also the occupiers. We also end up in a space which is cladded with glass. Exactly. So pehla cheez, problem. Then you do a double skinning. Then you do a kind of motorized curtain for it. Then you keep plants. Then you say, nahi, plant ko sun chahiye, वापस kholo.
So end up giving more, I think, costing in that.
See, costing definitely is, but we need to be more vocal. Yeah, we need to ask, we need to demand. It is not कि ये हर time possible होगा, but at some point, definitely you will get certain people who are more concerned, or who are more aligned to your view of supporting the environment. Yeah, so ask is what I would say, and promote such activities, because it is, it should not be a bookish kind of knowledge that we keep. All our ancient basic technologies, all our ancient basic principles on the sun, its path, the wind, its direction, how it is, affecting the human scale, the human behavior, are all prevailing. But in this, what you can say, world of profit making, we intend or end up in premises, and then we try to, address them. So my personal say on this is, I've been very vocal on this for the past 8 to 10 years now. I request promoters, builders to make sure that we get minimum glass facades, we get more of open spaces. Bombay mein possible nahi hota hai, but definitely at certain locations it is possible.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll...
Yeah, so on that note, 3 or 4 words is what I would end up this session is. First is circular economy, workspace, all related to ESG. First is optimize. Yeah, optimize your requirement, optimize the basic expectation to a place wherein both are in a win-win situation. So both are the people whom you address and the people who are demanding. Sustainability is here to stay. It was there, it will stay till eternity. How will it stay? It will stay with resilience. Resilience would be the key word going ahead. And how How the resilience? It is innovation. So innovation, resilience, sustainability, and optimization. All four words, they are the key contributors for circular economy. Thank you guys. Thank you for being a brilliant audience.
A huge round
Yep.
of applause to each.
Yeah, so resilience covers the attitude perspective also. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, panelists, for your
A huge round of
enriching
applause,
views.
ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you,
to
Rashmi.
each.
Thank you.
I could see how invested they were in the topic and how passionate we all were about everything that you all spoke about. Thank you so much. I would love you all to, please, sir, just 2 minutes, Mr. Ashish. We'll just have a small token of appreciation that we'd love to give you. I'd love to call on stage Mr. Somnath Chaudhary, who is Dormakaba's National Key Accounts Head, and Mr. Rahul Sequeira, who is the Managing Director for ITP Media India, to please hand over this small token of appreciation from our end to each of the speakers. Thank you, gentlemen, for this beautiful opening session of the evening. Thank you, Tanves, for so beautifully moderating this session. It was really great to have each of your thoughts present here, and you all touched upon everything, not just the tech part, but integration, approvals of management, all of the workflows. Thank you so much for that. With this, we will move on with the evening, and I have a small AV to play for you all. Before we go on to the next session. So if we can have the AV, please. Now, before we go on to the next panel, I have a special person here from ITP Media Group who was there with Smart Office since its genesis. And I would love to call on stage Bibor Srivastav, who is the Managing Director for Events from ITP Media, to give us a short glimpse of his thoughts of this platform and the journey we've had so far.
Good evening, and I'm here again. And I firstly want to thank everybody here in this room. And what a marathon day it has been for all of us. Rajat, so lovely to see you all the way from London, and lovely to see you, and you've been an integral part. Rajat has been really supporting us and many in the room to see the dream of office segment, what we stand and do and deliver here. We started in the morning with women in construction. Then we went post-lunch. We went with data center. Mr. Ratan Batliboy, thank you. How lovely to see you here. And then now we talk right away is about the office segment. The panel which was just before me and that talked, and I wish we had the luxury of time to debate and let the discussion go, because there's a lot to fathom out and a lot to learn and a lot of puzzle to solve. And I think 40 minutes or 1 hour is not truly enough time to give justice to any, but this leaves us with a lot of hope that the discussion thread should continue. And it also gives a lot of motivation to us that forums like these are really very meaningful for people to come together, to discuss, debate, collaborate, and ideate. What lovely that Tanmay left us with a thought was that it's about resilience, it's about optimization, it is about innovation, it is about sustainability, and there are many things, cost optimization, and many more. The tall gentleman, Gaurav, who's from Pentaspace, walking here, we were just chit-chatting over a cup of coffee, and I was talking to him, Gaurav, I just want to resonate your thoughts and my thoughts, and how Rashmi very nicely said the man who worked on this space, office segment, but I think there's a battery of people, and Rashmi for sure, I can't see Indrajit, and lots of Priyanka right behind in the console, and lovely people at ITP behind who stood and understood the power a decade back, how office segment will grow in this country. You know, if I really go back about 10 years when we launched Rashmi, more than 10, commercial design, nobody was there to believe our story. People were not talking, Gaurav, about office segment at that point of time. Look what's happening today. Hyderabad has caught the fancy and the attention of everybody. We are talking from back-end spaces, you know, the BPOs. Now we are talking about people moving their AI, digitization, R&D in form of GCC. Just imagine when these corporates are going to set up their bases in Hyderabad and other city, it unfolds huge opportunities and spaces to redesign. One thing that I feel very strong about, and I was talking to Nilab, I don't know, I can't see Nilab here somewhere. Oh, he's behind, he's always behind. Anyway, you know, how are we going as designers? You know, what is that you have gone through in the last 10 years? Because the demographic has continuously evolved and changed, which has posed threat and challenges and opportunities to navigate, to make office spaces for people like me on my left, and then the young Gen Z and the millennials, and make them coexist in that space and flourish and, you know, create that happiness which is conducive for everybody to perform. Ladies and gentlemen, commercial design is our young baby, but has grown with period of time. And for me, it is very close to my heart. And I want to sincerely thank all our partners and sponsors. I don't like to call word sponsor. I hate this to the core. I really want to thank each and every brand. And above all of you who have been here to support us in large numbers to make this event a huge success. Thank you very much. Like you, I'm here to learn as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bibor, for breathing that fresh air into these sessions that we have here. Before we go ahead, like I said, we have our partners here, and we have one such partner again with us, Vinayak Pai, who is the zonal head for Welspun, who is really eager and excited to share the portfolio that Welspun has and all the numerous options and possibilities that they have for the workspaces here. With this, I'm going to quickly call on stage Vinayak Pai. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for...
Good evening, everybody. So I'll just quickly start with the presentation. So Welspun, as we know, is a global leader as far as bed and linen is concerned. Every fifth towel which gets sold in US is from us, and again every ninth bedsheet which gets sold is again from Welspun house. It's a huge company with a lot of patents. So 32 patents is what we have in store and manufacturing facilities across. Quickly moving on to the diversified portfolio which we have. We are there in bed and linen, pipes and plates. Again, the pipes which go over the mountains and under the sea, the longest, the tallest, all those kind of pipes are there from us. Our latest acquisition from Syntex is again a new baby to our portfolio, which has been added recently. We are there in 50 plus countries. Again, get ranked in #1 as far as this is there, and again a huge employee base of almost 26,000 plus employees across. So we are there across the globe. The plant which we have put up in Hyderabad is one of its kind. We take this opportunity to first have a look at our products which are there waiting for you to be showcased, and also the plant as and when we converge ahead. So the plant which we are talking about is a LEED certified plant which is there. With a zero discharge. We'll just quickly take you through the video.
Welspun has set up one of the most technologically advanced manufacturing facilities for producing carpet tiles, broad loam carpets, artificial grass and SPC flooring in India. We are globally certified with platinum rated LEED certification by IGBC, a certified zero waste plant, and many more. Our world-class yarn processing ensures highest quality output to create our carpet tiles. Here are some room renders for our carpet flooring. Our hard flooring stone polymer composite tiles are the amalgamation of both quality and design and can be widely used in commercial, hospitality and residential projects. Our state-of-the-art NABL accredited labs ensure we deliver only the best product to our consumers. Step up to Welspun flooring with our Made in India, made for the world products.
So the plant which we just saw qualifies as the top 2 plants in the entire world. So it is considered as, the top 2 plants in the entire world. So that's the scale at which we operate. So it's a global plant which we have to, which we just saw it. In terms of products, we have got in all 4 categories. So we are there in carpet tiles, we are there in artificial greens, we are there in click and lock tiles, again, and beautiful printed carpets, which is wall to wall. So all 4 categories is which is, available under one floor. So I'll just quickly zoom it up. So this is all which you can see it in our stall on the background. I'll just take you through some room renders, just to give you an idea. And these are the kind of clientele which we have at play. In a short span of almost 5 years, we have been able to do a lot of justice in terms of, getting across to a huge clientele base and all the known names. So right from Google, ICICI, Infosys, all are there, right? And we will be happy to add some more which are sitting across out over here. So in terms of cutting edge technologies, you can just have a look at the video. Just to cut the, long story short, the PET bottle which you see in my hand, right? We can knock off 2.3 lakh bottles. So this is something which we can knock off and, make beautiful carpets out of that. So it translates to 1 lakh square feet of beautiful carpets. So that's the kind of, impact which you can have by recycling the entire stuff. The other thing which we can bring to the table is something which is very innovative. My 3rd standard daughter is struggling with photosynthesis, and the same thing is being done by our father also at Welspun. So we have been able to, do that with our carpets. So something which can absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen, thereby, improving the productivity at office. So something which we are extremely proud about. How does it translate into this? So 1 lakh square feet basically translates to 90 fully grown trees. So that's the kind of oxygen which is being generated at the floor level. So that is something which we are, we can bring it to the table. Again, something very unique and very innovative for the first time in the industry, very path-breaking. It's a paradigm shift because this kind of tactile tiles, everybody has seen it in metros or, malls and everywhere, but mostly restricted to public spaces. This we have been able to bring it to private spaces now, which is up into your office, up and close, where you can include, so all your DI initiatives can be you actually can walk, you can actually walk the talk. So we have been able to do that. So the largest campus at Google, Rio Ananta, almost 8 lakh square feet, we have been able to do this at play. So the strip which you see in between helps visually challenged people to navigate seamlessly through the office floors. And this is something, again, very unique and happening for the first time in the world, by the way. So you can trust us with our design capabilities. Yeah, that's all which I had to, show it to you. A nice good evening and enjoy the... We are there at the stall behind, so if you want to guys to have a sneak peek, and as they say, the proof of the pudding is in eating, so we would like to, serve the pudding behind.
Thank you, Vinayak, for that quick glimpse into what Welspun flooring was all about. Now going on to the second session of the day, which is about cost-effective excellence and redefining workplace design with budgets and timelines. This is 2 aspects of any project that has come up as a challenge in so many of our discussions that we've seen here, and even in real life when I speak to a lot of architects and PMCs too. So to discuss on this further, we have with us the moderator of this panel, who is Mr. Ashish Puri, who's the National Director for Interior Design Services at Colliers, India. Joining him are speakers architect Nilab Nagar, who is the design principal at Architect Hafiz Contractor. We also have Meeta Valavankar, who is Meeta Valavankar Herbert, who is the director at Blue Umbrella Design and also the senior associate at Ratan J. Battleboy Consultants. We also have architect Gaurav Sanghvi, who is the co-founder at Pentaspace Design Studio. And joining them is Rajat Malhotra, who is the executive director at JLL. Each of them are experts to an extremely good par in this industry where workspace design is concerned. And we have at the other end Rajat, who has taken care of IFM, who has streamlined IFM in facilities management actually in JLL. And he's now here to give us an insight into the other side of the, line where the projects are handed over and how they take care too. So quickly, I'm going to call on stage each of my panel speakers and moderator to please come on stage and take it. Ashish, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm delighted to moderate this panel on this very interesting topic, cost-effective excellence and redefining workplace design within budgets and timelines. We have an expert panel here. We're going to delve deeper into the subject. The objective is that at the end of the session, we have some great insights and way forward as we navigate through the topic. Thanks. Rashmi's already given the introduction. So we have the design community, and we have Rajat, who's going to give us insights from his experience in managing these facilities. To begin with, just a quick deep dive into how the workplace has evolved over the years. When we broadly look at what we experience today, and if we go back, say about between 2000 to 2020, we sort of term that as the golden era of workplace. Now, why we say that is workplace experienced a paradigm shift in those 20 years. People evolved, the designs evolved, everything changed so rapidly. We moved from the factory setup modules to sort of open offices, collaboration hubs, we call it the innovation hubs. And all of that, the one thing which changed during these 20 years, the focus shifted from work to people. Now, people were at the center, at the heart of every office design, which means that we were creating offices where, you had better productivity, the ergonomics were taken care of, automation came in. So much was happening. And then, we sort of came to 2020. We hit a pause. We slowly recovered from the 2020 pause. And, beyond that, the workplace sort of saw different sort of challenges. Now, we live in a world today where, you have the fear of trade wars, or you have the fear of policy paralysis rather. So in this sort of world, and then you also have some sort of disruptions, what AI is bringing in. Yes, AI is helping in a lot of things, but then at the same time, as I speak, I don't know, how soon I'm going to be replaced by AI, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. So with that, what's happening is that the occupiers, they're becoming a little more sensitive to their spends in the workplace. And how do you still strike the right balance? That's what we're here to discuss. So I'll straightforward move into the panel discussion. And let's start with the question here. So we'll start with Rajat. We'll start with you first. So Rajat, the first question is, what as per you is the best strategy? How do you sort of strike the balance between, which helps to achieve the right balance between cost, timelines, and innovation?
Firstly, I'm privileged that we are in a design panel and you started with an operator and maintainer, because usually it's the designers who take away all the awards and we get the brickbats to the rest of the life cycle of the building. But I think if I were to sort of analyze the question, Ashish, I think the question is centered around innovation and how do we get the right innovation and innovative elements into the design without impacting cost and timelines.
Absolutely.
So if you look at innovation in modern workplace design, it's focused around cost and efficiency. So it brings in efficiency when it comes to life cycle of the office space. It brings in efficiency when you talk of bringing in sustainability in the design elements of the office space. So all of that is actually helping us optimize cost. So when innovation itself is targeted at the right areas, I think the element of cost and efficiency gets taken care of. Now, as far as timelines goes, if you look at the life cycle of any kind of an office design plus fit out plus testing, commissioning, it really starts with planning, right? So if we factor in the right amount of time to bring in innovative ideas from various stakeholder groups into the design and then work through those innovative ideas to prioritize them. Because all of us, when you are looking at workplace design, the users have their own wish list and they have their own requirements. So design, if you look at design itself, it's a tenuous process. And for a designer, I don't envy their job, to be honest, because they have multiple stakeholders that they must cater to. It's not that design can be done in isolation. You have to deal with a number of stakeholders. So there would be innovations that all of those stakeholders come into the room with. And then it becomes the onus of the design. I would still think that at the design stage of a project, for sake of efficiencies, the decision on which innovation has to be onboarded into the design should be left with the designer. But those ideas should be democratized, and you bring in ideas from various stakeholder groups, and you bring them in at the right time of the project so that when you do the planning, you're factoring any timeline challenges around bringing in those innovations, right? And those innovations could be sourcing material from elsewhere. Those innovations could be in the design itself. Those innovations could be unique equipment configurations as well. So I think that's where you bring in the impact of timelines and take care of the impact that it may have on timelines. But innovations typically, if you see today in modern workplace designs, are looking at bringing in efficiencies as far as the life cycle of the workspace goes. Yeah.
So you mentioned the right planning, and that's what you're saying, that you sort of plan your project well, and that's the recipe for success. Same question to you, Gaurav, in terms of what do you think is from the designer's perspective? What are these key strategies, which help you to sort of optimize cost, rather have the right ingredients in place so that you sort of succeed in creating something which is, of course, long-lasting and caters to all the stakeholders?
Hi, everyone. So I think, as Rajat said, that planning, I think, is the key component, right? So for an architect, I think when you kind of have a site and you kind of start designing, I think the more time you kind of spend on the planning and kind of detail out the zoning, the orientation, all of those basics, if you kind of just run the basics right, I think you'll have a more efficient, cost-effective building on paper first, right? And then I think we kind of extend that to the consultants and the other stakeholders and kind of take inputs. But at the first thought, I think as an architect, you need to kind of be very clear in terms of drawing it out right, take the right amount of time, don't rush into it at that point, because then you're kind of in a catch-up game. And you kind of, like just listening to the consultants and kind of improvising that in your design. But you need to kind of think through your strategy in terms of design. And I think that is something which can bring out originality, innovation, and cost effectiveness in the long run. So I think planning is the key component, according to me, as a designer.
So prioritize planning. I think that's what all of us are agreeing to. That's a good thing that we have agreement right at the beginning of the panel discussion. So Nilab, I'll come to you now. So we whatever investments we make in offices, and then we're talking about cost-sensitive investments. So how do you gauge the return on investments? What are the criterias you bases? You sort of benchmark the return on investment, without any compromise on the sustainability and innovation aspect of this.
I will answer this on the basis of the fact that you're saying cost effectiveness to, let's say there are two kinds of office buildings and office places. One is a developer builds an office space to give it out to people. And then there are office buildings which are built custom suit to a particular company. And then there are office buildings and office spaces built by the company for themselves. So let's say there are three such scenarios. So your question needs to be answered probably with how all the three look at it and how they approach that whole thing. For a developer, most cost-effective building would be the one which gives him the maximum carpet area to a built-up area. So his entire thing comes down to what Gaurav says is the planning. So you create the most efficient floor plan to get the most efficient amount of carpet area, then for him is the most cost-effective building because he gets the maximum revenue out of the building that he comes out with. Next comes to the question is that how much would a person want to spend on the building itself to get the kind of returns that he wants by the rentals that he wants to get out of it. That's one way. So then you then decide on the kind of materials on the building, the materials that you use for the lobbies, materials used for the planning, and the amount. And the most important thing, and especially in an office building design, would be the ratio of how efficiently you do the parking and how efficiently you do the core to the building ratio. That is one part of it. Then when it comes down to a build to suit, when we do a build to suit, then it becomes that the client comes into play and his requirements come into play. So, for example, a lot of these buildings that we did at DLF, where we did it for particular companies, we did like that. So then their requirement comes into play. So then it becomes what is cost effective for the company when it starts operating that building, and then that design then comes along. Then when you are designing specifically, let's say, for example, we did for Infosys there, the entire building is owned by them and operated by them, and they're the thing. So there, that cost efficiency depends on how they look at it in terms of how big that particular, they call it software development blocks. So it's effectively the amount of time that particular project runs, and then they recycle that building for a next set of building for the next 4 years, next 6 years, and things like that. So depending on that, that is how the efficiency is there. In case of software giants, there the design is kind of modular because they've kind of figured out that this is the size of teams that is coming in, and you kind of design the whole building around those set of teams and core to that ratio and everything else. And when it comes to material of the interior spaces itself, there are, of course, now huge amount of new innovative materials have come in where it comes to, let's say, when you talk about sustainability, the recycled content, the amount of the circular economy, which the previous panel did, and all those factors come into the play when you are selecting materials. So all of these factors put together is what I would say would bring about the most cost-effective design in this whole space.
Right. But, for example, you're designing a building for, like a build-to-suit sort of scenario where you have the user. So what is that selling point that, if you do this, if you implement this in your design, then that's how you sort of get your return back on investment. So what do you think are your key sort of, your design inputs on that?
It totally depends on...
Also keeping in mind that eventually they're saving the cost as well. You sort of telling them, yes, you do this, you actually eventually saving...
So we were doing for, I'll give you two examples. One is, we did it for a German major and an Indian builder, let's say. Okay. Now, Germans have a certain way they approach the building and the way they work. So when you know it's a German client who's wanting to occupy this building, they're all about, there are certain parameters and very strict, and they're very engineering oriented people. But they're also wanting to merged with Indian culture and everything else. So what you do is that this international major wants to come into India. They want to build a whole corporate office building. So then when we went to and explained to them, they see, this is how India works, and this is how your future employees whom you're going to be occupying the building would work. So for them, natural light is important. For them, certain things are important. So when we did, so those were the factors which then you try to convince them. At the same time, we are also designing for an American client. Now, please understand, and the Germans, Europeans like to have more modular, not an open office space. They like to have
More
cells.
conservative.
They are very cells-oriented people, whereas Americans want large floor plates with open office and all that. So it's, when we do a build-to-suit design, it always depends on the client who comes in, and we have done simultaneously 2 designs were happening, one with lots of courtyard, and the floor plate was not more than 16 meter deep, and the American design was a 42-meter floor plate with lots of deep open office. They want to see that whole, everybody together. And when we did Citibank, it was, they wanted floor-wise interaction, because when you deep floor plates, you can go in, but they felt that, okay, why don't we did that? Same thing happened when we did British Gas. So we created cutouts between the 2 floors so that it's easier to interact between the 2 floors. And so those are the different things which do happen when we do a build-to-suit design.
Yeah, thanks for that. So bringing Meeta, you into the discussion, you've been doing some impressive, amazing work. So would you like to share some experiences or case studies that how do you achieve cost effectiveness without any compromise on functionality of the spaces or even aesthetics for that matter? So how do you strike that balance? Would be great to hear any specific case studies where you've done that.
So in our office, firstly, we built a team who focuses on research and marketing of specific products. They understand specifications, and that team is holistically dedicated to understanding what the market materials are. So we have alternatives for every materials in our office. So if you want material A, take that in, it comes with a cost. Without sacrificing on the quality or the aesthetics of the material, we also have cheaper alternatives, B or C, for clients to offer. Secondly, cost effectiveness can be achieved in CAPEX and OPEX, and sometimes in both. So if my client doesn't have funds today, I would give a cheaper alternative. We have already achieved it in one of the projects where we were looking at flooring systems, vinyl floors. We could not import because of timelines and cost. We found a cheaper local alternative. It saved around 40% of the cost. But that company is not well known, but we know it, and we informed them to get some tests done so that we could understand what their parameters were, or if they were comparable to the imported alternatives. They were, and we turned out to be 40% cheaper. Then when we had designed an auditorium for a school, a 1,000-seater auditorium, it was a rectangular space. It had to be refurbished. Again, the school was getting its funds from either the parents or for some sort of funding. They did not have enough funds to get the whole thing refurbished. They also wanted to have an air conditioning system in it, which was, say, around 100 tons. And we did not have place to keep that sort of unit, nor we had funds. So we could reduce the CAPEX as well as OPEX cost by just opting for a HVLS fan in the auditorium. So the cool air kept on circulating. We got down the tonnage from 40% and saves in CAPEX and OPEX. In terms of acoustic, since it was a rectangular space, we had to use a lot of acoustic materials if we thought about rectangularity of the space. So with our acoustic consultant, what we discussed and decided was, we reduced the acoustic materials by 50% by just having panels at a slight tilt. So it helped in the CAPEX cost. So that were the examples of cost achievement. So build a strong team, know what your market is, and you should always have alternatives. They may not be well known, but you should have.
Right. Some smart strategies there.
Yes, thank you.
Coming to you, Gaurav, once again, And touching on the, the technology bit, the technology which we use to design buildings, like your BIM and all of that. Do you think that technology, BIM, Revit, it has a role to play in eventually achieving the cost effectiveness in the projects? Are you using that digital twins or, BIM models?
Yes, of course. I think the projects are getting more and more complex, and I think the requirements are also getting more and more, more in detail in terms of there's not generic. Like as Nilab said, when you're making a build to suit, there is a lot of integration with MEP structure, your architectural intent, and you kind of, you really need a tool which kind of, gives you that entire model, right? And then you can actually save time, your time, in the planning aspect of selecting the right materials. And, so I think the mundane can be kind of taken care of, which is, your basic drawing works are kind of taken care of by Revit and BIM and all of that. And I think then your strategy is more, your energy is going more towards the decision making in terms of, getting the right orientations, right materials, and, you're focusing more on that. So I think, yes, it is very, very important. I think it saves you a lot of time, positive time in, tight projects. And we are extensively using it. I think integrating that with AI again is, taking it one step ahead. So yes, it's evolving technologies. I think we all have to run and catch up with these times. And I think it will be the need of the hour, like it will be a mandate that you have to use this and move ahead.
But are you using it for interior as well, for your fit
No,
outs?
for architecture are we using it, not for interiors. But yes, for architecture we are extensively using it.
Right.
BIM for interiors is not yet developed to that level. It's not, we tried using it.
But we do get RFPs where it's mandated that you have to work on BIM. So how do you...
Yeah, so at that point of time, we do some jugaad. Okay. Instead of building each and every layer, build it whole and soul. But it's still not developed for interiors.
Yeah, but the BIM, it's, to me, BIM, I think, is mostly used for services. I mean, frankly, if you ask me. Clash analysis is what it comes to, and to me, it's those architecture or engineering for dummies. You know what I'm saying? Is that in good old days, everybody could perceive and think what can happen if I do this, right? The current generation doesn't want to think beyond a certain point. So for them, this 3D and 3D
millennials?
No, you're not including that. So, so the current generation, or even the labor, or even the people at site and everything else, don't have that foresight. So this three-dimensional model, which kind of takes care of when the duct is going, when the sprinklers are going, when this is going, when that is going, everything is now visual and it's in 3 dimension. And that, I think, helps a lot of people to visualize what is to be made. You understand? So I think that way it's a fantastic tool to make it happen. It does give real-time quantity takeoffs and everything else to tell you and to make decisions like we can take that, okay, had I used this material to do this material, what would be the cost, what would be the implications? So those kind of things, it makes a great thing. I'm right now doing one project which is mandated to me to make it completely digital twin, in the sense that every element that goes into the building, into the interiors, into everything, will get translated into in a digital form. And then tomorrow when the maintenance team comes in, or when they want to maintain or replace, the idea is to kind of know every component, which is now has got a addressable entity to it and can be measured and then can be replaced. I hope, let's see, and in about 6 months' time, I'll know where I stand in trying to replicate the entire building in a digital form.
Absolutely. I think Rajat wants to add to BIM as well.
I mean, there are two very interesting points that, Meeta, you made. The first is on OpEx, right? When you're talking of innovation, and how do you then justify the cost of innovation through the instrument of OpEx and life cycle cost. I think that's where my request to all the designers is to use us as your allies and your friends, because if you look at the FM space, we are trying to redefine the value we add to the employees. And I control, as an FM, eventually in the life cycle of the building, I control the air quality, most definitely. I also control the lighting. I control noise. So there's few very critical parameters, lighting, noise, air quality, temperature, humidity. All of these have a direct impact on the wellness and the productivity of the employee, which is why you introduce these in the design phase. And very often what happens is during the life cycle of the facility, our clients often challenge us to do more in this space. And if there is a lack of design thought and intent, then it becomes very difficult for us, right, to introduce that back in a living facility. It's like changing I keep using this analogy with a lot of our clients, and they're going to kick me out of the room one day, is that you're expecting us to change the engines of a jet when it's midair, right? So it's difficult for us to do certain deep refurbs when the facility is live and running. So I think at that stage, when you're at the planning stage and the design stage, use us as your allies, because we will help you justify that cost of investment through the reduction in OPEX and the value that we add to the employee on the seat in his productivity and his wellness. The awareness is very high. So I think that's super important. The second thing on BIM, Anila, very good point. We'd love to use BIM data and transpose it into our asset management systems. One of the biggest struggles that I have today in engineering, in FM space, is getting a solid asset list in place. For a new facility, is still okay. When we walk into a facility, the asset data has degraded over a period of time. And so I'm in no position to guarantee to our clients that we are statutorily compliant as well, because we may not have all of the asset data in the systems. Now, what's very important is the BIM for design is not compatible with most asset management system unless you make it compatible with BIM for operations and maintenance as well. So I think these are elements that have to be kept in mind, that let's not do just BIM for design. Let's ensure that there's compatibility. And there are versions of BIM. I'm not a BIM expert, so I'm not going to wax eloquent on something which I'm not an expert in. But if the BIM selection has to have compatibility for BIM operations and maintenance as well, so that I can ingest the data into my management systems, asset management systems, and use the effort that you put in to really then realize that value for the occupants through the life of the facility as well. Yeah, Meeta, you wanted to?
So Rajat, yes, we worked with JLL in Colombo for one of the projects where you were facility managers and you were brought in by the building developers at a very start of the project. So that helped. Yes, that helped. Today the facility is very well operational, and yes, JLL is operating it.
Thank you so much.
That helped.
Thank you so much.
So Rajat, coming back to you again. Now, you just shared your insights on, So with your experience, would you be happy to share some tips on how do you navigate through these conflicting demands of all stakeholders? Your users need something, your designers need something. You as someone who's going to manage the facility, you have certain set of requirements. So then how do you sort of navigate through all these different equations and, still make it happen, make it work?
It's an interesting question. I think there's no conflict between a developer, facility manager, designer, or end user, if you ask me.
See, one conflict I've always faced as an architect, I would want to spend as much as possible.
I think you're right. So what I want to say is that I think the conflict arises when you involve these different stakeholders deep into the life cycle of the design. If you involve them initially, as an FM and as a developer, if I'm an FM in a multi-tenanted facility, I'd be as interested as the developer in ensuring that there's ease of commute, ingress or ingress from the facility for the final occupants of the facility. So there's no conflict in our requirements, right? A developer would be as interested in the heat load, in the design of a tenanted space, as I would be as an operator, right? And there's value that we'll be able to bring, the developer will be able to bring because he has to size his plant. And I'll be able to bring because I have to operate and maintain the facility through the life cycle. So it's about involving them, Ashish, at the right stage. If you involve them upfront, like Meeta gave a fantastic example of, is the developer and the facility manager, all of them are at the table at an initial stage of the design, then there is no conflict at all. But I would think that all of us, and that's why I don't envy the designers, all of us come with our wish list. And it should be the designer who is the arbitrator and the final decision maker. Let's make peace with that. Eventually, you are the one who are dealing with the end user and the occupant of the facility. We'll come with our wish list, developer will come with their requirements, but we have to then segregate between what is absolutely necessary, what's just maybe a nice to have. You can make some allowances for the nice to have as well, but I think the arbitrator should be the designer at that stage, yeah.
Okay, I think that's an interesting take. I would like to open this forum to audience if you have any questions.
Firstly, thank you, Ashish, for steering this conversation so beautifully. Rajat, you meant FM as facility head or something? What do you exactly mean by FM?
Facility management.
All right. See, I see a lot of similarity between the spaces, be it a commercial office segment or a hotel like this, FM in a facility in your segment and office, a GM in general manager for a hotel like this. It's very hard to find, since you do a lot of hotels as well, very hard to find the guy who's going to come into the building and run the building. In an office segment, FM, in a hotel segment like a GM. Very difficult to get a developer and an asset owner and an operation guy, unlikely in any likelihood. So that's where the challenge is. So the premises have been made and given to a GM and to run the hotel. Now, if you're looking in into a room in a 5-star and you're searching where to put this, and we really go from a user perspective. So I don't know how much dipstick study you do. The best of the hotels still struggle as a user, as a guest. So I can, see that kind of similarity from a user perspective, be an office space. How would an FM know? Because he wasn't there at this when you were on a drawing table. And designers can't be blamed because they are following and towing the last objective or the key or the brief that the asset owner has given. So I don't know, Rajat, will there be ever a situation when you get everybody on the table?
I think it's a really good question. I think things are changing, Vibhor, because today we have clients who we actually go and insist proactively saying that get us involved at the design phase and early in the design phase, planning and then design phase, like Gaurav just mentioned. Get us involved at that stage. So you don't have to, I'm saying is, very often the whole procurement cycle for services, management and maintenance of services, it follows somewhere, it starts somewhere in the middle of the design life of the facility. And so where we are incumbents already as partners for our clients, it's a great example that Meeta gave. And we were talking about, I think, Google with Welspun on what they're doing with the 3.5 million square feet. We manage Google all over the globe. And so getting us involved at that initial stage where we are incumbents is super, super important. So some places it is possible and in some places it is not. But I would also think that designers, to protect their own interests as well, should insist with the client, whether it's a hotel developer, that get somebody from your operations team involved now. You may appoint a GM later, but bring somebody in now because it's only going to benefit you, because the GM is eventually responsible for guest experience. And to be honest, a number of GMs are then handicapped because a hotel is worse than a facility. You can't do too much in a hotel while the hotel is up selling rooms, right? They're so driven by the whole economy of, the economical engine of the hotel. So it's very important. I mean, you've given a great example. It's very important, especially in a hotel-like environment, where you must get somebody who has an operational wisdom to come in and sit at the table at that stage. It's so important. I think it devolves on us, all of us as a community to insist. And once that happens, I think more and more people will start doing that. Yeah. I know I've not given you the answer probably that you wanted, but you're right. It does happen. Involvement is not always possible. Sorry.
Yeah. No, but Vibhor, what you said is right, but it's not as blank as what you said in the sense that we design the hotel and then GM come and hand it over to GM. No, it doesn't happen like that. We went to the one which I'm doing right now. We're going through all the rigors. And all the chains have their MEP, these things all fairly sorted. Whether you talk about Taj or talk about Marriott's, when you submit a design, there are things about what they ask you in the sense that what is going to happen to the services, how they're going to run it. They kind of foresee a lot of that, and they make sure that you modify the design to ensure that when they take over, they have it sorted. So it's not that bad. And especially when there are owner-driven who are also invested in the fact that they're spending a whole lot of money onto that hotel, or for that matter, any, let's say, workspace or anything else. Today they have sufficient data from their past experiences, whether it is, like for example, let's take the workspace. Of course, Taj and all that are quite sorted, but I'm saying, let's say take the case of Infosys. Infosys, when the first set of buildings was a certain thing, then they also simultaneously did fair amount of research to do underfloor air conditioning. They did thermal chilled beam concepts. They brought in standard air conditioning, VRV systems. All of it they have been experimenting because they have a fairly large portfolio of works to experiment with, and once they have got results from a certain thing, from say thermal cooling at Hyderabad, they make sure that when Bhubaneswar happens or when Calcutta happens, they have that learning which is coming to us. The first set of buildings will be, what you're saying is right. It is like you impose upon it. But after you have come to the 10th or the 15th building, you've got fair amount of data from your background to tell you what is happening. First time though, everybody is doing that's where we come in. That's where we come in. No, to give our experience there.
It's always one of the most interesting conversations when you have FM on one side and the architects on one side. Unfortunately, in this only Rajat was there, but he handled all the glam possible. But thank you so much, Ashish. Thank you, lady. And she was the only lady on this panel, and I'm so glad she could make it. But thank you so much for having come here and share your thoughts and such brilliant questions you posed to them. But seriously, thank you so much. I'm going to quickly call on stage Vibhor Srivastava, who is the Managing Director for Events, and Mr. Saurabh Agarwal, who is the Vice President for Commercial at Welspun Flooring, to give you a small token of appreciation from our end. And ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause to this panel here. Beautifully done discussion on all the topics related to design and operations. Just one Thank you, everyone. Thank you, my panel members. Before we go on to the next session, we just have one small AV to play for you, just a breather. And we'll then get on to the final panel discussion of the day, which is bridging gaps between global standards and local realities. And we have some amazing panel congregation here. So before that, I would just love to get the AV on screen. everyone in the back, I'm sorry, we'll still try to add few more chairs, but there are, again, some pockets of chairs here in the front. So if you all want to please come ahead and take your seats, I'd be more than glad to accommodate you all. Please do not stand there. We would love to have you all sit here on the chairs and engage in the last panel discussion that we have for the day. So like I said, we have the final panel discussion of the day, which is bridging the gap between global standards and local realities. To moderate this panel, we have Mr. Hardik Pandit, who is the principal architect at APICS Studio. Joining him is Balaji Sankaran, who is the vice president for Prestige Group. We also have Zainab Mukaddam, who is the India head for design and workplace, the senior director for projects and development services, occupiers at Cushman and Wakefield. Also joining them from the co-working spaces is Kiran Bagde, who is a studio director for Office Space Solutions. We also have Tanvi Jagtap, who is the chief architect for design and architecture at Reliance Industries Limited. We also have Aditya Goyal, who is the associate and senior strategist of workplace design at Gensler. And finally joining them is Sonal Khopkar, who is the associate for design management at Kapadia and Associate. Now, this is a panel that I am also extremely keen, because we have an office space, co-working space industry member, we have a developer, we have the PMC on board and the architect, so it's going to be a real interesting mix. And Hardik's taken it all onto himself to bring forth the panel together, and I'm going to quickly call him on stage, and each of my panel members to please come in and take the stage and carry on with the discussion here that we have.
Okay, I guess all the panelists are on stage now. So, good evening, everyone. I guess ours is going to be the most challenging panel, because we have to, it's our last session which is going to keep you from the bar. So I think so I'll straight away get onto it. Good evening, and I would like to thank Vibhor, Rashmi, and Commercial Design India team for giving me this opportunity to moderate this interesting session. It is truly a pleasure to welcome you all to this panel discussion on a topic that is becoming increasingly relevant today, that is in the evolving design landscape, bridging the gap between global standards and local realities in the office design. As we all know, the workplace has gone under a dramatic transformation over the past decade. The shift towards open plan layouts, hybrid work models, wellness-centric spaces, and smart technology integration has redefined the way we design offices. Many of these concepts are driven by global standards aiming to enhance the efficiency, collaboration, and employee well-being. However, in a diverse and dynamic country like India, applying this global benchmark is not always a straightforward solution. We are fortunate to have with us the panel of industry leaders, designers, and experts who bring a wealth of experience and insight today. They will share their perspectives on how to strike the right balance between adhering to international design benchmarks and creating office spaces that are relevant, functional, and meaningful in the Indian context. During the discussion, we will delve into the challenges and opportunities of adapting global standards to local realities, innovative solutions that Indian designers are implementing to meet both global and regional expectations, and the future trend that will shape the design of offices in India. It will be my attempt that through this collaborative dialogue with these esteemed panelists on the dais, that we can shape a design future that is both globally inspired and locally grounded. So with that, let's get started. So my first question will be to you, Tanvi. Can you define global standards in corporate office design, and how do you think they differ from the unique cultural and functional requirements of Indian workspaces?
So your question is about the global design standards and the local realities?
Yeah. How do you think they differ from the unique cultural and functional requirements of Indian workspace?
Okay. So global design standards, as we all know here, like as designers and all, they all revolve and focus more on functionality, accessibility, employee well-being, so giving more space to the employee, having more outdoor spaces, giving them good lighting, good technology, again, collab spaces. That is a concept which came from the West side to us, like how Shirish said, we just blindly copy. But when it comes to the Indian context, going back to what you say, most of the design then has to be tailored or modified more to our cultural nuances and our diverse work styles and, you know, the flexibility that we have here. Like, take us for example, give more space to an employee. Real estate in most of the Indian cities is so expensive that ultimately the occupant starts densifying everything. And then we find that there are too many people who are later on also added to it. Again, flexibility is something that we are always looking out for. It's never like the whole building belongs to us. People are taking a space and then trying to fit their whole office space into it. So then your lighting, your HVAC is not as per individual needs and individual things. Outside spaces, very rarely, due to our climatic conditions, we get to use. So then, like I said, they have to be tailored to suit to our needs, right? Similarly with, let's take like, okay, even our eating habits, like a pantry or a dining space that we have, it's very different than what you would see in a normal design space everywhere. It's not like nobody gets a dabba or char alag dabba nikal ke, nobody starts like that, whereas in our space we do that. In fact, I doubt any one of us is going alone for lunch. We're like, tu bhi chal, tere dabbe mein kya hai? You know, even if at whatever level you are, you need that kind of spaces that we've been doing. Like, there is more collab which is happening there outside rather than what happens here. Like, if as soon as we all move outside, we'll all be chit-chatting more with each other rather than what we are doing here at this field. So yeah, the design is...
I completely agree with you, Tanvi, that I think so the lunch breaks and the tea coffee breaks are one of the most looked up to breaks which we, in our Indian context, we look up to for collaborating or discussing with our fellow colleagues. So with that, with continuing the talk on the global standards, Aditya, I would like to ask you this, that India has a rapidly evolving corporate landscape. Do you think global standard always translate effectively into the Indian context, or do they sometimes fall short?
Okay, so I think I'll just take a couple of words from your question. I think the first thing is what the global workplace or the Indian workplace is evolving to, right? So I think, say 5-10 years back, Indian offices were almost execution centers, right? So you will see it was a method of cost arbitrage, right? We had cheaper talent, and it kind of translated to that. But now you will see Indian corporates as more of innovation centers. They're innovation powerhouse. Nobody is looking at India as only as cheap talent. We are being looked upon as the innovation leaders, right? So that changes a lot of things. The second thing is, I think we are more global now, right? There are local nuances, yes, but I think we are more global. So one thing that we say a lot is we design global workplaces in India rather than designing Indian workplaces, right? So it is almost the idea of global workplaces, how that kind of manifests into India. Now, in terms of nuances, I think a very interesting point that was mentioned over there was about breaks, and we did a research on that, actually. And what we noticed was that Indian takes 1.5x breaks compared to the rest of the world, right? And that's a research, that's a survey, and we did a research around that. And I think the second thing is Indians also spend more time in a workplace. Now, what it does, and that's the culture nuance that we're talking about, is you will see in Indian workplaces are much more amenity rich. The food experience, the event experience, because we spend more time. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so because we like to kind of take breaks, so corporates really want those breaks to be meaningful, right? So these nuances are something that are represented very well in the workplaces today. In terms of guidelines, I think the days of rigid guidelines are going away. Any guidelines that you will see kind of is giving you a framework, right? And is built for local adaptation. It's not just India. So all the global corporates are going everywhere in the world. So when they go to different places, they do adapt to the local nuances. But the larger framework is something that's important because finally Microsoft will want the office to be Microsoft because that's their culture. So it's a very thin line balance, but I think the idea of very rigid guidelines is sort of going away.
Right. So talking about guidelines, I think so the second aspect the corresponding aspect is the building codes. So Balaji, I would like to throw upon this question to you as to how do the factors like climate, building codes, and the cultural nuances, as rightly pointed out by Aditya, influence the adaptation of global design and trends in India?
Hey, good evening to everyone. It's great to be here, Lakshmi, before, and all the gentlemen from, the organizing. We were, we met Hardik, maybe in the third smart office. Now it's 22, so it's a marathon run. And see, truly this is required because the topic itself is how we are going to catch up the, global design. We will be able to catch up, when we discuss, when we understand. So I congratulate everyone, who are a part of this. Coming back to your, the discussion, see, there are codes, we are there, offline we were discussing before this panel, before this stage. We think that we are there, the India is trying to catch, he was emphasizing the same points. Few areas, yes, we have to move fast. There are cultural, I would not say it's purely cultural, but I will attribute it to a cultural, because I was working in Middle East 10 years before where, the precast construction, modular pots, bathrooms, even services, MEP, I'm from a MEP background. So we were installing MEP modular, installations. Somehow, see, there is a, when it comes to these sort of, trends, we are little, lagging. So it's maybe the cost, it may be the, risk-taking ability. Overall, we put together as a culture. Maybe this culture has to go because see, there are a lot of advantage in these advanced techniques, precast, modular, today Mumbai, Delhi, all facing the, indoor air quality issues. These are the solutions for that. It doesn't have much, waste generation, dust generation. Overall cost is also coming down. So maybe a cultural shift on this may be required. I think the government is also trying to push this, the precast construction. Coming back to codes, our codes keep changing, which is good, but there are some negative also. I'll just give typical example. So we are also coming up with a lot of high-rise in Mumbai offices. I am a part of one of the building where we are going to have a 300-meter plus office, in Mahalakshmi. So essentially, you have to bring the, global design to this office. Otherwise, it won't be sustainable. So the one of the thing maybe first in India or maybe first in Asia, first in South Asia, maybe generally the elevators, vertical transport became an issue. Someone was, mentioning even in the previous discussions. Generally occupies 4 to 5% of the overall plate. So when it goes high rise, during lunch hour, during the peak hour, you get a lot of, movement of the people. So the number of elevators will go up. So what we are trying to bring is, new technology to India, which is either a double-decker elevators or a twin elevators. It's a new design. We are trying to catch the global design. But there are challenges. We will be the first one to do it. So to brief, the double-decker is like one cabin above the another one. Both move together. The twin is like two different cabins move independently, 12-meter gaps. These are the new design thoughts, new design things we are trying to implement. And for that, when it comes to code, there is no code in India to approve this elevator. So that's a challenge. So twin, there is no code in India. So, but authorities, the manufacturers, developer like Prestige, everybody is working together to bring these codes so that, we catch up the global design. I think that may be the fair
Yeah, that's
answer
a very
to
valid point you made, Balaji, that if we have to adapt international standards here, then definitely we need our codes to be updated, which will help
True.
us
True.
adapt the practices which are prevalent abroad. And same thing in talking about the challenges, I'll ask Zainab, what are some specific challenges in Indian designers face when trying to implement these international office design benchmarks?
Okay, thank you for the question. At the outset, I want to just have a little word that I want to congratulate the organizers for having such a great, outreach and the kind of talent and, my mentors that I see in the room. And I'm rarely ever nervous to speak, but today is one of the days that I am a little bit nervous, so excuse me if I stutter or fumble. So to start with, I think, the conversations that we are having around design itself, whether it's global, whether it's Indian, I think we've taken a very myopic view towards design. Design starts much before design, and we were just talking about this some time ago, how international designers do a concept design, and then they do a pre-concept design as well. So I think the conversation around design needs to have a precursor. The second thing, before we actually get to the drawing board, even as Indian designers, we need to align expectations. We need to take the time out with the clients, spend time with the clients to understand the outcomes that they expect from our design, and then align the expectations, whether it is in regards to timelines. I do not know why Indian designers are in such a hurry. Maybe it's a little bit to do with clients, I don't know. But why we are in such a hurry to kind of, design is a baby. So it takes the time that it takes. It's an evolutionary process. Let's give it the due time that we need to give it. The second thing is we also need to align budget expectations. Now, if you're expecting an office that looks international, then spend the money that it took to, if it had been done in an international location. If you're going to expect the Taj Mahal on a shoestring budget, it might look like it, it will not function like it, and it definitely will not last like it. So I have worked with some of the clients that are sitting on board here, and we've had some on my panel, and I'm so glad about that. And we've had some challenges regarding, we've managed to kind of work through them. So it's not an impossible ask. It is possible to do this, and I think that's my 2 bit on it.
Thank you, Zainab. My next question is to you, Kiran. Many global office spaces prioritize open plan layouts. Now, what are the specific challenges that you find with adopting this concept in India, and how do you try to mitigate them?
So I think open office layouts is a global trend. It is designed to foster collaboration, transparency, and a sense of belonging and equality into the workspace. But it does have potential, challenges when it comes to practice in India. The challenges are more of cultural and operational, I feel. Firstly, the hierarchical structures what we have in Indian firms, it does impact, it does lead all the managers and the executives to sit in like an enclosed environment, which completely sort of contradicts the whole open office layout intent. Second, we all are, we all as Indian employees, we come from diverse educational, professional, and cultural backgrounds. And what happens is we do, at times we do value our own space. We do value that we do have our own personal space when we are, spending 8 hours of our time, 1/3 of our life in an office. So that also sort of poses a bit of challenge. I mean, there are a lot, but then I think coming back to something like a densely populated cities like ours, right, where it really adds a very high, I would say, like ambient noise into the open office spaces if not designed well, and that would definitely hinder the productivity of the employees. I mean, nevertheless, the design community has been, I feel that we are embracing the open office sort of concept with open arms, and few things which we've already started doing, and everybody, as design community, we all know that we've started, designing all these hybrid spaces which do have open offices. They still have a little bit of private spaces. We do have semi-open, enclosed, sort of, soundproof rooms like phone booths and all, which would encourage, more, is preferred for different sort of work styles, right? And could be easily done with a flexible set of furnitures, which will continue to, evolve and with the changing needs. Secondly, I think the factors like acoustics, lighting, and air quality and ventilation, integrated with technologies these days would really is helping out to create an overall, an experience which is, for an employee or a group of employees, and which will, help them increase their, productivity. I think, I think last but not the least, and above all, I feel that we really need to have culturally, sensitive workspace design. That's a need. And could be easily, I mean, we are all already, I think it's work in progress, I would say. And it will continue to happen that, we continue to engage employee and the management during the design phase itself, which will, foster to have that collaborative and more, inclusive sort of feel to the space. Thank you.
Just going back to what you've been saying, with this open office concept that we've been seeing everybody's moving to, but coming back to the Indian issues that we have, like, okay, we had all these open offices, we had everybody out, but then everybody somewhere is having a Teams meeting going on, suddenly you are in something and then there is somebody else who's talking around you. So, then, and what happens is everybody just goes on, and then every meeting room is blocked, and then you don't have any space to go and, work in your own space.
Correct. And that's why, as I said, we are not just designing open offices, but we are designing hybrid, spaces where it is, you do have those spaces where you can, you have these open focus spots which will help you, create a bit of acoustics
Really
around you.
helps.
So I think that is something which we are adapting, and that does come from, global standards and studies. So really helpful, I guess.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Kiran. I think we've made a very valid point, and I think so I would like to add to what you said is about what you mentioned about personal space. So we at Apices are a team of 120 people, and I see every desk which that person is occupying, he decorates it, or he brings his own personal, you can say, character to it. He gives it to the desk. Whereas I think these kind of things are completely missing, or you can say this is what we need to add. And the certain foreign concepts which talk about hot desk or having floating desk, those concepts don't work here because we have that attachment to the space, which is very much important and it needs to be catered.
Can I just add a point on that? I think in terms of open offices, right, a lot of debate has been happening for a long time, not just India, everywhere. I think badly designed open office doesn't work anywhere. It's not just India.
Very true.
Right? And I think from an Indian perspective, there were some structural issues that we had with open offices. I think first was densities. So what you will see historically, Indian offices were much more dense compared to, probably an office in US. So that is changing. And I think the second thing from a very Indian specific context is what we have seen is that I think we generally as a culture don't like, we don't, when we're in office, we don't want to disturb others. Sorry, when we're office, we don't like disturbing others, right? So the idea of, say, a buzzy neighborhood, that's very prevalent in the West right now. So I think these are certain things that we see becomes a bottleneck. But I think when you design an open office well, looking at the context, it works everywhere. So
Yes,
it's just
yes,
how
very
you
true.
design it.
Correct.
It's also about the hierarchy, which is like so emphasized in the Indian market that, okay, for some time you brought your boss out, but then what happens is वो boss के बगल में 10 seats कोई बैठा नहीं है. Yeah, then you feel better कि भाई बंदे को cabin में डालते तो अच्छा होता.
Yes, yes. So, Sonal, now coming to you for this round. Global standards often emphasize sustainability. How do you achieve sustainability in your design?
I mean, I would approach this, two-pronged. I think speaking of design first, I think as we all know, sustainability is a much larger topic. Sustainability does not start or stop at design. Sustainability is way beyond that. So sustainability needs to weave in many more things than just design, and it needs to look at a long-term view, and we have to re-look at the strategies on sustainability such that they give you a long-term or result in terms of well-being, and also on the economic side what we all seek for. So none of these aspects need to get heavy on each other, but it needs to be a holistic approach. So to bring to that, design, yes, of course, is an important tool. It probably is a little centric to design, hence we often focus too much on the design aspect while speaking of sustainability. So first things first, yes, passive design, that has to come in. That's a given. That's where you begin the design. I think sourcing out smart local materials that are low on carbon, that comes to me as the second. I think a very crucial part, especially since we are talking about commercial spaces, we are talking about corporate spaces, MEP, integrating MEP tech in a nice, smart way and a very, very efficient way is a very crucial part of these large commercial projects or workplaces that we speak of. These are extremely heavy on MEP. They are extremely heavy on all these other operational aspects that are a lot more crucial to sustainability sometimes if we look at a close view than just fixating on a wall-window ratio or a specification of a glass DGU, right? So we need to give equal importance to all of these things. We also need active and a timely feedback on the operational front, which often we all feel is missing when we start off. I was listening to the panel one where they were, where mostly there were leaders coming from the operational backgrounds. They were talking about security systems. They were talking about all of these operational teams who actively are working on these kind of buildings. I think an active participation and an active feedback from their side much early on in project is very necessary to build them in rightly into design so that we are on point when it comes to sustainability. So I think that's my take on the design aspect of it. But at the same time, to drive this whole design, I think there is a process part to it. So there is a design process that needs to work alongside, which is collaborative and integrative of all of these various things that we spoke of in design. Unless they really work in tandem and work together from the start to the end, we will never be able to bring the kind of efficiency and the cutthroat numbers and percentages that probably we aspire to do. So we, like Zainab said, we don't need to be myopic about design as design, but look at it in a broader sense. I think that's when our true sustainability can come through.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sonal. Now, my clock says that I have 8 minutes, so I'm going to give 1.5 minutes to each one of you to answer the next question. So considering the paucity of this time, I think so let's run through this round a bit quickly. Let's continue our discussion on this sustainability. And okay, I'll go to you, Aditya. How do you strike a balance between adhering to the global brand guidelines for a multinational clients and creating a regionally relevant office environment?
Yeah, I think again just a continuation to what I was saying earlier. So, when we are looking at the global guidelines, it's really important to understand, the purpose of that organization, right? So that's why do they want to create a certain space. Second is really trying to understand how that particular team works. And none of this is really local, right? The local nuances are much more behavioral, right? So you will see a lot of layers of behavior that kind of comes into the workplace. It's very important to have an empathetic process, and that's where, the pre-concept, right? So I think one of the things that we have started now doing is a lot of understanding the client and the user before starting the project, right? Really talking to the employees, really talking to the leaders. How do the people work, right? How many breaks they take? What do they do in the break? What do you want? What the leaders want them to do in the break? So I think a lot of empathy can really help us to, design projects everywhere in the world and really understanding the user and adapting the global guidelines based on that.
Thank you so much. Tanvi, in terms of cost of fit-outs, how do you handle the cost disparity between global standard finishes and locally sourced materials without compromising the quality?
So, okay, most of the clients get accused that they want a Mercedes in the cost of a Maruti. But I will say, if I'm a client, I'm paying the money. I want to be JLo. मेरे को सस्ती उर्फी जावेद मत बनाओ. Okay? ठीक है, मुझे अभी बाहर जाके I want to eat everything that's there. But give me a solution कि how I lose it or how, ऐसे not same like this, but थोड़ा इधर तक तो जा सके types. So yeah, a client expects. So yeah, that is where there has to be a solution, and I think it can be like a hybrid solution which can be brought about. The places where you have to spend, like which is like something which goes into my OPEX cost. It can be like services, what you were saying, or new technology. I'll spend for it, I bring it from outside. But when it comes to certain things like the material, regionalize the material, get something which is close by. Like if you go to Morbi and then वहाँ पे Italian marble लगाओगे तो it will be like too much, right? But the Morbi guys are smart. They will get tiles which look like Italian tiles. Italian को भी नहीं पता चलेगा what has happened here. So yes, that kind of things, if we bring into it, we can do a lot of cost optimization and clients can be happy.
That's
1.5 minutes taken. Huh? I have 1 second left.
Yeah,
we can't hold
thank you
everyone
so
for
much.
food.
Yeah, coming back to you, Kiran, are there any specific sustainable practices or technology that India is pioneering, which global markets could learn from? What do you have to say about it?
So I think India's sustainable design practices are enrooted in our ancient, since history and our ancient architecture. So, I mean, and I think that is what sets us apart from the entire globe, right? And we do have, the courtyards, the jalis, the intricate, cornices, everything which has been proven tool for, passive cooling and a natural airflow and, acts as natural shades, right? So I think it's already there, and we've seen our architecture made out of stone, mud, bamboo, and it has lasted for ages, and it has been there. Right now, I think currently we are again work in progress, and we are doing great. We have been able to incorporate these tech-driven solutions alongside our sustainable design practices, which we hail from our ancient history. We have been putting them together. We've been doing all the basic planning basis. I mean, we do Vastu may be a taboo for for few, but it does follow science. It does follow climatology, and I think that is something which we all studied when we in our architecture. So it's there for a reason, and I think with the basic planning strategies and then integrating technological solutions, I think we are already ahead there. We've got solar grids and rainwater harvesting. It's something which has been there with us for ages. There are some history which is not untold. It's not yet resolved, but it's been there, and I think we are. I think we should call us as the pioneers in sustainable design solutions from India. And I think that is something which will, it will continue to grow. definitely sets us apart, definitely.
Yes, I can't agree less with you. Like as you rightly mentioned that all our structures which were there built by our ancestors, they were all completely relevant to the climate and the region where they were. So it's something I think global people can learn from us. I can vouch for that. So Zainab, I would like to ask you, can you share some examples where you had to significantly modify or localize a global office design concept to suit the Indian clients or the workforce preferences?
Yeah, I will run out of time, but I want to highlight that three major things that are different is culture. We need to have a deeper understanding of culture, of climate, and of behavior. So one of the most important aspects is the Indian food and the smells of the Indian food and how we eat and how, a lot of international offices have open social hubs, open cafes. That's a concept that will not work in India. It does not work in India, but with the introduction of Gen Z, their outlook, the way they're looking, the exposure that they have might be something we may learn to imbibe over time. The second thing is there are certain, maintenance and durability issues that arise due to climate in India. Certain clients wanted like a really light carpet in the entire office space. They wanted a very, very light beige. It does add to aesthetic value, but how, as advisors, it's our duty to kind of, raise the issue, how dirty it's going to get over time, how messy it gets in the rainy season, what footprints are going to come. And the other subject, of course, is around acoustics, how loudly we talk, how collaborative we are in many ways. And I think these are some examples that I've had to deal with in my life.
Thank you so much. So Sonal, if you could suggest one global office design practice that India should adopt and one local practice that the world should embrace, what would they be?
I think there are many global practices, slowly they're catching up. In the recent times that we see, one is, embracing diversity, and inclusivity with wide open arms. We have a long way to go there, but I think that is something which is one of the essential things. They are very essential and centric to make all of these. When we talk about well-being, when we talk about equality, when we talk about these diverse cultural people or diverse genders coming and working together, I think this becomes almost a necessity rather than just looking at it as a compliance, like most often that we look at and then attach a cost to it, and then we half of it we chuck it out because it doesn't fit in our cost. So we need to have a different view of things, and I'll be very happy to see one day when it becomes truly becomes a mainstream to us, and it in its true sense, not as a compliance, but as an integral part of design, and it's accepted not just as a design aspect. It's not looked at as an add-on, but it is embraced by all streams and all stakeholders involved in the project. I think that's one thing, and it's slowly getting traction, but we are going to take our own time to be there, is what it looks like.
Right, that was a very
I think speaking of the second half of your question, local practice that I would love other people to embrace or globally to become. Maybe it's not it's not really related to design or a design quality, but I will answer it differently. I think as a practice, the way I see us as designers or us as professionals in our industry, at least the industry that I'm privy to, the way we look at our work, I think all of us go way beyond looking at it contractually. You know what I mean? Like we don't look at work, or we don't look at, I don't look at my project as a work order or a value or a cost related to a list of deliverables. Which is, I think, if you look at the developed countries, or if you look at the way they look at their work, even from the design field, they kind of come from that kind of a a little bit of that kind of a mindset. So for us, it is always about creating value. It is probably about making a connect. It is probably going beyond. There's a human aspect to it when we work on a project with a client, even if it's a new client. We always, I think all of us have an approach to make that connect rather than looking at work as, a piece of work that needs to get done and we move on to the next one. So I think that's a value we all have. Probably it's rooted deep in our culture, where we come from. But I would love to see, this going really beyond us, beyond India.
Yes, I agree, Sonal. It's a very good point that we Indians have the tendency to go extra mile to satisfy our clients. So that is a very good practice, I believe. So finally, coming on to you, Balaji, I think, what do you think the future of office design in India will involve a fusion of global aesthetics with locally inspired functionality, or will the one side dominate?
So the future offices, actually this one side dominant fight will keep on going. Architects don't want beams, but structure want it. Architect or ID want a nice ceiling like this. MEP want a good trapdoor in the center because of the functionality. So this will keep on going. But as a developer, what we see is, when the office created, everybody want an wow factor. That's what going to give the mileage on the sales. But that wow factor will not continue if you don't have the if you don't put the functional capabilities into the office, whether it's an MEP or it's maybe the furniture. The smart things has to be involved. We are there, seamless integration is one of the things I would like to mention. When a guy enter into the premises, reaching his desk, there should be a seamless integration to happen, so that the waiting time and everything is reduced, starting from the access control to the gates, boom barriers, elevators, all to be done with a single thing. See, nowadays we wanted to do, if the crowd is more, then we are looking devices, we are looking startups to have devices which have everything in place. If he is getting a QR code from the reception, then it should work. If he has a mobile and NFCs, it has to work. Thumb has to work, palm has to work, face has to work. So all this integration is what we are trying to do, so that it is functionally, the building is very capable. So I think, all the trades are going to try to be a dominant, but at the end of the day, the building, in India or elsewhere, will have a balance of all these things, to be a successful one. The time is up, since long.
Thank you, Balaji. And I thank you all the panelists for being quick for the last questions. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the end of this insightful session, I want to take a moment to reflect on the key takeaways from today's conversation with these esteemed panelists. It is clear that the office design in India is no longer just about following global standards. It is about adapting and redefining them. We have heard compelling insights on how local realities such as cultural preferences, climate, and work styles shape the final design outcome, often requiring creative and practical modification to the international benchmarks. Our panelists have highlighted how sustainability, wellness, and technology are being integrated in the ways that resonate with India's unique needs, while still maintaining the global quality and excellence. And the most importantly, we have seen that India is not just absorbing the global standard, it is increasingly setting the new standards and design precedents that the world can learn from. As we move forward, the challenge and opportunity lies in striking the right balance. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to our exceptional panelists here on the dais for sharing their expertise, their experiences, and thought-provoking perspectives. And a big thank you to the Commercial Design India team for curating this important conversation, and to all of you, the audience, lovely audience here, for your engagement and participation and waiting despite of the bar being held open. I hope today's discussion leaves you with the valuable insights and inspiration to take back to your projects, offices, and organizations. Thank you once again. I look forward to continuing this dialogue as we collectively shape the future of office design in India. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Hardik. Thank you so much. A huge round of applause. I don't know if this term has been coined before, but this panel has been one of the most intellectually fun panel I have sat through and I have witnessed. Right from Tanvi's take on open offices, ke boss ko bahar bitha do and 10 seats khali baju mein. That is such a bang-on design observation. From Balaji's mention about twin elevator, I had heard about horizontal one, but honest to God, this is the first time I've heard about this, and I'm in media, just imagine. So, but, and Zainab's punchline, that went like when you want something in shoestring, it's not gonna look the same, it's not gonna function the same, and it's definitely not gonna last that long. But that is such an amazing panel to have had, and thank you to each one of them. Sorry? Done. We'll try to work towards that too. But Hardik, thank you so much for this session and for moderating it so beautifully. I'm going to quickly call on stage Pratyush Panda, who is the country manager for Forbo, and Indrajit Sauji, who's the group publishing director with ITP Media, to quickly give you a small token of appreciation for this beautiful session that you held for us here. No. Thank you everyone.